welcome to a special episode of Stripped Music Diary. I'm here in my house today instead of some exotic location like I usually am for a number of reasons. One being because I need this laptop here for some notes and it's not convenient to take that with me places. Another reason is because it gets dark super early now and I wouldn't have made it anywhere in time to film this video. This video is about women in music and female-fronted bands and Riot Grrrl, all of that sort of thing, and it's important to know what Riot Grrrl is, what the movement stands for, why it started, and to ultimately realize that it is alive and well now, or just as much as it was back in, say, 1991. If you're not familiar with the Riot Grrrl movement, it started in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was introduced mostly in the Pacific Northwest. I can't do the biography of it justice, so I highly recommend reading the book Girls to the Front, as well as Kim Gordon's book Girl in a Band and Carrie Brownstein's book Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl. The one by Kim Gordon and the one by Carrie Brownstein aren't exactly about the Riot Grrrl movement, but they are very insightful as far as what was happening in the early 90s. Basically, it was a response to the male narrative in punk and indie rock music. And in the 80s and even the late 70s, there were bands like Susie and the Banshees, as well as X-Ray Specs, Bush Tetras, Destroy All Monsters. There were a lot of women doing cool things in punk and rock music, but it's easy to think that Riot Grrrl was a response to the maleness of the grunge scene, and that kind of came a little bit after. Riot Grrrl was already starting and at the same time as the grunge movement, and while that just fueled the feminine ideals and the politics that went into the Riot Grrrl movement, that really it wasn't what triggered it. So, like I said, if you want to learn more, definitely read Girls to the Front. It's super, super informative. Lately I've been thinking a lot about why that sort of went away, and I read up on it a lot, and from what I've gathered, a lot of the bands broke up, and Clinton took office. The Riot Grrrl movement was around when George H. Bush was in office, and the dust sort of settled, so to speak, and people sort of got a little comfortable, in my opinion, with, okay, well, this is progress. And it just kind of became where, like I said, a lot of those bands broke up, and the festivals that started out to be all female artists, they started to get kind of like, oh, well, it's now a few bands with a female singer. And then Lilith Fair got really like watered down, and then basically the Spice Girls and artists like that started to surface, and the Riot Grrrl movement just sort of went by the wayside for years. And like I said, I really feel strongly that it's alive and well now, and I can't really pinpoint the exact period in time where it started to rise up again, but it is definitely a different sort of monster than it was back in the 90s. For example, a lot of men are on board and they are fighting for change in music, not just for women, but also for people in the gay, transgender, queer communities as well. And we have record labels like Run for Cover that donate a lot of their proceeds to Planned Parenthood as well as trans rights groups. So there's kind of a different sort of movement going on right now, and it's really awesome. And I'm really happy to be here and bear witness to it. And there's a lot of awesome ladies that still speak out against misogyny, and they still rally for women's rights in their music. And Sleater-Kinney reuniting was just a part of that. Garbage put out their first record in 4 years this year. Veruca Salt put out a record after a 9-year hiatus. So this sort of thing is happening right now, and it's worth pointing out, it's worth talking about, it's worth being excited about. And I wanted to share a couple artists that I've been listening to and following, and they're not all completely female bands, and they're not all political bands. They're just really awesome ladies, and a couple of those are the bands Bully, Potty Mouth, Conduits, Field Mouse, Churches, Garbage, Veruca Salt, Sleater-Kinney, Dyke Drama, Kitten, Cayetana, Bleached. That's just to name a few. And it's hard to talk about female bands without being a kind of offensive in a way, and I don't mean it that way at all. But on the same hand, we are careful not to pigeonhole a band as a female band. They're still just a band, but it's also really exciting and empowering to have all these awesome ladies in the music world today. So, like I said, this is sort of what I feel like is a resurgence, and I can't really explain why it went away, like I said, except for the fact that Clinton took office, a lot of these bands broke up. But the result of that is perfectly put in an article by Carrie Brownstein. Look it up if you're so inclined. It's called "Rock Music is Going the Way of the Beard," or something to that effect. And it basically says rock music is more about these beardy guys like Iron and Wine and Grizzly Bear and that sort of thing for a while. And there were even, ladies that were in that sort of same vein of music. And Carrie Brownstein goes so far as to say that the music is pleasant and nice, but she wouldn't wish that description on her worst enemy. She is excited to hear women in music who make you sit up in your seat and pay attention and that sort of thing, and elicits a response. And I really like this quote from her book. It sort of puts you in her shoes for a moment and makes you understand where she's coming from as far as her inspiration, that sort of thing. So she says, "I needed to press myself up against the small stages, risking crushed toes, bruised sides, and the unpredictable undulation of the pit, just so I could get a glimpse of who I wanted to be." So Carrie Brownstein is first and foremost a fan of music, and secondly, a musician. She puts everything into perspective much better than I can. So, like I said, go read that article. It's from 2009, and I really feel like it explains very well what happened with music from kind of the early 2000s to up until now. I saw online the other day that the band Modern Baseball, they tweeted that they're kind of upset that their new tour, they said it in jest, but they said that they were upset that there were no women on their tour coming up. So just that awareness and that realization is really cool and really important. And right now we're I feel like in that mindset that like smack dab in the middle of the Riot Grrrl movement where, okay, you know, this is progress and this is how things should be, but we have to learn from the Riot Grrrl movement and not let it kind of fall by the wayside again. And I would just hate to see this progress sort of fizzle out like the Riot Grrrl movement sort of did. So that's my 2 cents on that, and go out and listen to some super kick-ass ladies. Try to live in the moment as far as what's going on in music today. It's cool to romanticize the 90s, but just know there's a lot of cool things going on right now as well. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, then you can hit the like below as well as the subscribe button below. And like I always say, it really does help the channel a lot. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram and I'll put that username below as well. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Tell me your favorite female artists. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.